Bonjour et bienvenue à Gourmet. Today, we are working from Mastering the Art of French Cooking by Julia Child, where we'll be making crepes. This one, obviously, crepes are like the batter and stuff. There's not a lot to it. It's all about the cooking of the crepe. So that's really what I want to try. I've never made one before. I know they make those pans that you can just like dip into the crepe batter, pull out, and it'll cook the crepe for you. We're going to do it by hand in a skillet. So really, we're just going to see how it goes. Okay, so to start, we're going to make the batter. Now, I would probably have tried to show you an overhead view of the batter, but we're actually blending it in a blender, which I don't own. I just own a NutriBullet, which is a blender, but you know what I'm saying. So we're going to kind of make the batter in 2 batches, and then the batter does have to rest for a couple hours. So we'll make the batter, let it rest, and then we'll come back and make our crepes. So we need a cup of water, a cup of milk, 4 eggs, half teaspoon salt, 1.5 cups flour, 4 tablespoons melted butter. That's what we need. But we're halving all of that because I don't think all of it's going to fit in here. Now I'm going to measure it, and if it all does, we'll do the whole thing at once. But for right now, we're just doing halves because, yeah, that's where we are. So I've got my measuring cup. I'm just going to go ahead and measure out half a cup of water, which is spot on. Looking at this, we might actually be able to do it. But I'd rather play it safe than sorry. This is going to be my half cup of milk. Really what I'm worried about is the flour. I'm not so sure how much a whole thing of flour is going to be, but you know, that's okay. And I need 2 eggs right now. 1 egg. And we're going to do 2 eggs. Oops, there we go. 2 eggs. And I'm going to wash my hands. And then we're going to add a little bit of salt. Sure, that looks good. And now we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of flour. Once again, because we're just doing this in half. So let's measure out. I'm going to regret that, but oh well. Putting the flour right into, you can't even see, putting the flour right into the measuring cup that we've used for our liquids. But that'll be what it'll be. This is what I'm more curious about, is to see how much this is going to fill it up. Yeah. And you want 3/4 of a cup leveled. So I might not level it perfectly, but I am going to get close. And then we all do the trick. Okay, and that's 3/4 of a cup leveled. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that in here. I know that's not necessarily all the flour, but you can see here how much we have. So I think, and really this is our max, and we definitely want room for this to be able to blend. So I think doing it in half is the right way. I've got melted butter here. I'm just going to eyeball half of that. That seems good, fun, and fair. And now I'm going to take the blender section and we'll blend for about a minute. It's going to be super loud, so I'll probably cut this part out. But we've got all our ingredients. We're going to blend, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay, so it's been just about a minute. You can kind of see it's not big. It's nice and thick. We do have a little bit of a line on the jar from where some of the stuff was, but even the recipe says that's okay. I'm just going to go in with my spatula and just kind of stir it real quick, and then we're going to give it one more quick blend, and we'll pour it into a bowl. Okay. I'm just going to tap it because why not? Trying to get all of as much batter out as possible. And then we'll pour that in the bowl. That looks really nice, actually. I'm hoping these come out. You know, it's all about the technique of the actual pan part. I mean, obviously, like, this is important too, but it all comes down to how you cook it. So we'll see. But okay, that's nice and smooth too. It's perfect. So the batter's definitely come together really well. I'm just gonna give this a stir to kind of blend the two batters together. Almost folding them. Gonna beat that off, and then I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna actually get some saran wrap because we're supposed to let this cover. We're supposed to cover and refrigerate this for 2 hours. So I'm gonna get saran wrap, cover it, put it in the fridge, and I'll see you guys in 2 hours. So while we get ready for our crepe batter to come back out of the fridge, what I'm gonna do really quick is make like a quick bechamel sauce. This is for the savory crepe we're gonna make. We're gonna make like a ham and cheese crepe. So I've got the melted butter here. I'm just gonna warm it up a little bit. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a roux with this. You guys have seen us make the roux. It's just equal parts butter or fat and equal parts flour. But I'm gonna go ahead and add in heavy cream. I told myself I wasn't going to make too much of this, but I need a little bit more heavy cream, I think. There we go. And then I'm going to actually take my whisk, and we'll whisk this together, trying to beat out all the lumps. I don't really know if you can tell, but I can feel that this is already getting a lot thicker and kind of holding together. So I'm going to lower the heat. I have all of this Gruyere here that I just shredded. Then I'm going to go ahead and plop in, get as much off the cutting board as possible because it's not cheap. Try not to make a huge mess. Not really succeed. Sit that over in the sink, and then I'm going to go ahead and whip this in, stir this in. And you can see how much thicker it's gotten. I might have to add a little bit of heavy cream just to thin it out eventually, but we'll see. Here's what it looks like. Honestly, that's great. No complaints. I'm going to go ahead. And here we are. We are about ready to make our crepes. So here we've got our batter. You can see it's definitely thickened up in the fridge for the 2 hours. It feels like a really good consistency, honestly. I think it's probably what we're close to wanting. I have here a bowl of oil. The recipe says to use bacon, have like bacon or some sort of pork fat ready, or a neutral oil. Oops, sorry. To wipe your pan with a pastry brush. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just wipe this with oil. I'm just using a canola oil. I don't know if that's really right, but I know it's, you know, I figure that's a neutral oil and can stand pretty high heat, and I think that's what we're going for. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Now it does say to basically you're preheating the pan and getting the oil nice and hot, and then you're adding in the crepe batter. We'll see how this goes. I honestly don't know. Get really hot. Because that's what the recipe book says to do. And we will be doing some of this off heat, some of this back on heat, but basically we're going to, once this is really hot, I think it's pretty close, we're going to add in our crepe batter, 3 or 4 tablespoons at a time, or a quarter cup, and have it stir around and then cook it. So that's just what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and try it. It's just a couple tablespoons at a time. I've got this off heat. I don't think that was maybe enough. So I'm going to go ahead, add a little more. It says you can add, if you have any excess, to take it off. So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like for the most part, we just have to get used to doing this, right? And I know that some places have a like wooden spoon, like a wooden dowel situation that you can use. I'm not doing that. I'm just doing this on our own. I don't know. I've never made crepes. This might not be the best pan, but this is the pan I have. It's definitely cooking well. I might turn down the heat a little bit. But we want it to basically cook and then not stick and then flip, which it seems to be doing. It does say it'll take about 60 to 80 seconds for this first part. So I think that first part's just cooking it, and then we're going to have to get it off and flip it over. I'm trying to wait for that to cook a little more. But you can see we're starting, like with the bubbling, we're definitely starting to pool up. Okay. Look at that. Look at her. Now we have to flip. And I don't trust myself to do this. Ooh, that's hot. Definitely gonna flip with, I have a little offset spatula here. That's what I'm gonna flip with. I'm not cool enough to do it with my hands. And yeah, I don't trust myself enough to flip. And if I did flip it out of the pan, it's right in your view, which I'm sure I just covered up with my hand. But this actually isn't bad. We're going to let this cook for a little bit more. Pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead just to see what's going on. I think we're there. I think this feels right. I'm going to go ahead and sit it over here on a plate that I have nearby. I just ripped it. Oops. Okay, we're going to go ahead. I am using a non-stick pan. I'm just going to brush this with oil again. We are working over that high heat. So I think, we'll get there. This first one was definitely an experiment, but it turned out. It's not bad. But we'll do 2 or 3 more. Probably 2 more. Get that ready. I think our pan's pretty hot enough. Make sure I get a good scoop of batter this time. I'm going to pour that off. Yeah, that's what you want. I think that's it. I think maybe it's a little too hot. Okay, so I think we have the heat probably in a good spot. We don't have our pouring technique down at all, which is fine. And maybe that's why they use that wooden dowel thing, but hey, you live and you learn, right? We're trying something new. But we definitely have this ready to go. I'm going to take my spatula and just flip. That's more of a pancake. You know what it reminds me of? Almost reminds me of like a scallion pancake. But we'll let that side cook a little bit. I am letting this one cook a little longer just because it is thicker. And you can tell it's a lot different color, but I think our pan's just a little hot. But that's why we troubleshoot. Okay, I'm going to sit this one to the side. And I'm just going to take this really hot pan and I'm immediately going to pour in our next batch of batter. I know I'm doing this off camera. I apologize. It's just the hands that I have. I think that might be it. That one feels good. We'll stick that on the heat. That feels a lot better. You can see it like immediately cooked along the sides. This part's cooking. I can see what they talk about in the book, what they mean by like pouring the excess out that doesn't immediately stick because it is taking longer to cook. But I've got some browning coming through, so I might go ahead and try to flip because crepes aren't supposed to be really brown. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that did not work. It doesn't look bad though. Maybe I don't know. But that's not bad. I'm going to keep practicing. I don't expect you guys to watch this. I will show you the end results. But we'll take this one out, leave it here, and I'll show you our crepe when they're ready to be used. So welcome back. I just figured I would kind of talk you through what I'm doing with the whipped cream. So I beat a cup of cream and about 2 tablespoons of sugar together in a bowl. Full disclosure, that's the one that I learned from Alton Brown. So that's his like whipped cream recipe, I guess. One of the tips I've learned over the years is if you can get your bowl and your whipping attachment cold, it helps your whipped cream whip faster. So I didn't have my bowl in the freezer, but I had the whisk attachment in the freezer for a while, which really did help. This whipped up like no time. What I'm going to do now is actually add some peanut butter whiskey to it because that's the whipped cream I'm making. This is the peanut butter whiskey I got. Maybe it's not. Yeah, it's whiskey. Have I had it? No, but I got it because I thought it'd make it like a fun old fashioned, which I just haven't done yet. But we'll smell it. It smells like chocolate and peanut butter. That's going to be interesting. Now, I just keep my whipped cream on. I turn it on, and I just slowly pour in. I don't add too much because it's going to dilute the whipped cream. This is our plate of crepes that we didn't really mess up. You can see they're really nice. They came together well. It did take probably like, I probably had 5 bad ones, and now I've gotten like 5 or 6 really good ones out of it. But once you figure out how to make it and do it in the pan, that was really helpful. Kind of like a pancake, the first couple, if you've never done them, are always hard. And then what I found was actually just using the nonstick pan without any oil in it really did the trick. That's where I stopped getting like super golden color. I stopped getting any wrinkles or anything. And then I did switch spatulas. I used a bigger spatula to help myself flip. I was trying to do the fancy flip in the air. That kept failing. So we amended some things from how we started on video, but we got there in the end. So here's what I'm going for the savory crepe. Remember, this is ham, mozzarella cheese, some of their cheese sauce inside, and then cheese sauce on top, more cheese. So if you're lactose intolerant or lactose avoidant, this one's not for you. But we're going to go ahead and try it. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it, though. I think it will be good. Now, yes, it probably would have been better if it was heated and like the ham and stuff wasn't cold, but I'm hungry and I don't want to wait anymore. Oop, that was just such a nice little cross section. Okay, so here we go. Here's a cross section. You can kind of see there what it looks like. I have no complaints. That was really good. What I do have are a couple crepes that I really messed up and just like aren't salvageable. So I'm going to go ahead and just try the batter. So to me, that's a really plain crepe. I think what would be really nice on it, I think for a dessert crepe, I'd want to add like a little more sugar to this. I'd probably add some sugar to the batter, but I don't think that's really what we were making. But that savory crepe, this one, so good. And yeah, the crepe is not necessarily the star. It's the sauce and the other things that we made that weren't in the cookbook. But I think that's kind of what a crepe is, right? Like very rarely are you eating just a plain crepe. You're eating it with everything. And I really do like this. I think the recipe was really easy. But yeah, let's go ahead and make our sweet crepe. But here's our crepe with the banana. Let me go ahead and get that fork again. Okay, we're going to cut into this. Hopefully get a banana in there. If not, we'll just take the one that's sliding out the side. Okay. This is hard to do, holding it like this. I definitely didn't get, ooh, that banana. I don't know if you heard it, but that banana crunched. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, so here's our crepe. with our banana and caramel and whipped cream. Delicious. So good. And you get the brulee from the, I mean, no complaint. I think I'm going to give this one a 10. It was easy. Yes, the batter has to rest 2 hours, but from what I know about crepes, that's kind of how it goes. I've never made crepes before, so of course it took a little while to make them and kind of get the hang of it, but I don't think it wasn't easy, and I had to do a little bit of troubleshooting, but to me that's kind of like making pancakes, which is essentially what we've made, just really thin pancakes. Yeah, I think this was really easy, and I think they go with a lot. Like I said, if you're doing a specifically sweet crepe, you might want to add more sugar into the batter, but I think these are really good where they are. They're kind of neutral, so they go either savory or sweet, which is what I wanted to show. This recipe, this cookbook, does have different recipes for crepes and like what you can do with them, but I just kind of went rogue, did my own thing, did what I wanted to do. That's what I felt like doing. That's what the channel's all about, right? Like, how much are we going to follow the recipe in the cookbook versus how much are we just like, I can't do it anymore, I'm going to do what I want. But yeah, I really liked this. These were super good. I have no complaints. I would make it again. So that's why it's going to get a 10 from me. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye.